Welcome along. Today we're doing a deep dive into Formula One, focusing specifically on the Williams team.
Mm,
There's quite a bit of buzz around them, especially after Miami, and of course with Carlos Sainz joining the team.
absolutely. It's a really interesting dynamic unfolding there.
And we know you want the key insights, the stuff that really matters without wading through absolutely everything.
Yeah, cutting through the noise.
So our mission today is basically to unpack what went down in Miami with Sainz, understand his, pretty strong reaction.
Right.
And then look at how Williams sees things, their progress, where they want to go next. We're pulling this mainly from what's being reported on various F1 blogs.
Exactly. It's about getting beneath the surface of the race results, looking at the team, the driver's thinking, and where Williams might be headed based on those F1 blog discussions. Finding the real story.
Okay, let's jump straight into Miami then. There was this incident pretty early in the race, wasn't there, between Sainz and his teammate Alex Albon.
That's right, yeah. Early laps, they made contact. And for Sainz, the consequence was losing about 20 points of downforce.
20 points, that sounds like quite a bit.
Oh, it is, yeah. I mean, think of it like the car suddenly having way less grip, especially going through corners. It just makes it so much tougher to drive fast and consistently.
Right. And despite that, he still finished ninth, which, okay, points are points, but...
But exactly. His reaction on the radio told a different story.
Yeah, he sounded, furious. Something like, this isn't how I'm going to race. I don't care. Lost confidence in everything. That's intense.
It really is. And it tells you a lot, doesn't it? It shows his ambition, for one. He clearly thought the car, even the Williams, was capable of much more that day.
Like top 5 potential, he mentioned.
Yeah, he genuinely believed a top 5 was on the cards without that hit. So that frustration, it's not just about Miami. It's about the potential he sees and the high stakes. Every single point matters.
And maybe reflects the pressure he puts on himself joining a team like Williams that's trying to climb back up.
Yeah, could be part of it, yeah. Setting high standards from the get-go.
So how did Williams handle that? James Vowles, the team principal, he usually does a debrief, right? The Vowles verdict thing that the F1 blogs cover.
He did, yes. And what was interesting was how he explained the incident itself.
Okay.
He was quite clear that Albon wasn't, deliberately ignoring team orders or anything like that.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't a driver fight situation.
No, not according to Vowles. He said the problem was more internal. Delays in communication, getting information relayed between the engineers and the drivers quickly enough.
Yeah.
Sort of a system issue.
So less about driver conflict, more about the operational side needing a tweak.
Pretty much. Vowles took responsibility, actually. Said something like, we have a lot to learn. This can't happen again. He stressed they have 2 world-class drivers and need to support them better.
That's quite direct, taking it on the chin as a team.
Yeah, very accountable, which is generally seen as a good sign, right? Acknowledging the problem.
Definitely. But what about Sainz's reaction, that public frustration? Did they see that as, a negative?
Well, this is where it gets quite interesting. Vowles actually spun it positively.
Oh, how so?
He basically said that frustration comes from passion. He was quoted saying something like, he gets frustrated, but it's because of that passion that I want him in the team.
Huh. So embracing the fire, not trying to put it out.
Exactly. Framing it as a sign of his drive, his commitment to pushing hard. It's a way of saying, we want that intensity here. It kind of sets a tone, maybe even attracts other ambitious drivers down the line.
That's a smart way to handle it, I suppose. And Val's mentioned they talked about it internally afterwards.
Yeah, he stressed that.
Yeah.
So the key thing was the follow-up conversation, figuring out how we see ourselves as a team to do better things together, using it as a learning moment, basically.
Right, to strengthen the team.
And he doubled down on Sainz being really important for their future plans. So no bridges burned, it seems.
It really sounds like they value him. And that fits with this wider narrative we're seeing, isn't it? On the F1 blogs and elsewhere, people are calling Williams like the revelation of the 2025 season so far.
They really are. After the first half dozen races or so, that was the feeling. You can see the car is better, definitely. But it's also the driver pairing.
Sainz's influence.
Yeah, he seems to have brought a strong work ethic, a methodology that's having an impact. Even Sainz himself, I think, before the Imola race, was quoted on some F1 news sites saying Williams was a bit of a revelation.
So he sees the progress, too. It's not just the team being optimistic internally.
No, there seems to be genuine substance to it.
Yeah.
And Williams, They're proud of how far they've come in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Especially with the big regulation changes coming up.
Right. That's the big reset everyone's working towards.
But they're not just aiming to be, solid midfield runners. SAINZ'S especially has laid out some pretty big goals.
Oh, yeah. What's he targeting?
He was pretty explicit. Said, we want to take the next step to reach the podium. And then beyond that.
Wins. Championship.
Exactly. He said, we also want to study how to take the step to win races and how championships are won. It's a clear roadmap of ambition, level by level.
That's ambitious. But does he acknowledge how hard that is, going from midfield leader to actually winning?
Oh, absolutely. He seems very aware of the scale of the challenge.
Yeah.
He apparently compared the jump needed now from midfield to podiums, then podiums to wins, as being just as massive, maybe even more complex, than the step they already took getting from the back to the midfield.
Okay, so realistic ambition then. He knows it's not easy.
Yeah, and he's even identified specific areas they need to work on. It's not just vague hopes.
Like what?
Things like wind tunnel work, the whole aero development process, getting a better handle on tires, cooling efficiency, the real technical nitty-gritty. Shows he's thinking deeply about it.
Right, applying that analytical approach he's known for. So let's sort of wrap this up. This whole situation around Williams and Sainz, especially post-Miami, it really gives us a snapshot, doesn't it?
It does.
You've got Sainz, clearly passionate, maybe a bit fiery, pushing hard because he believes more is possible.
Frustrated by the incident, but driven.
Then you have Williams owning their part in the Miami issue, which is good to see, and crucially, viewing Sainz's intensity as a positive, as fuel for the team.
Right. Embracing that drive.
And underpinning it all is this sense that Williams is genuinely on an upward curve. The car's better, Sainz is adding value, and they have these, well, very ambitious goals for the future.
Yeah, you put it all together, and it's more than just one radio message or one race result. It's a window into the team's culture, their improvement trajectory, and the kind of expectations someone like Sainz brings. It really highlights that constant push in F1.
And hopefully for you listening, this deep dive, pulling from what the F1 blogs are saying, gives you a clearer picture of all those moving parts without getting bogged down.
Yeah, connecting the dots. And it does leave you wondering, doesn't it? You've got this highly motivated, proven driver in Sainz and a team in Williams that's clearly got momentum and ambition. How does that dynamic play out for the rest of this season, and especially heading towards the new regulations?
Yeah.
We talk about the car, the driver's skill.
Yeah.
But what else? What's that extra ingredient they'll need to actually make that jump to regular podiums, maybe even wins?
That is the big question. Something definitely worth keeping an eye on, maybe through those F1 blogs you follow.
For sure.
Okay, that concludes this deep dive. Hope you found our look at the Williams and Sainz dynamic useful. Thanks for tuning in.